The giggling and the barking. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 recap. First of all, Happy New Year. We're back from the New Year after 2 weeks. I was starting to get a twitch. I don't know about you guys. I was having withdrawals. But
Oh yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
I was for a little bit.
So today we have our lovely DM Lights. How are you, Light?
I'm good. How about you?
Doing all right. Enjoying the snow outside, but from inside. So
What is snow?
what is snow?
What is yes?
Yeah. Well, Sin knows, which is another someone else that we have here today who plays Victor. Not hello, Sid.
Hello.
Was
Hello.
feeling a little under the weather, but
Yeah. It's a good day to feel under the weather though. Can't go outside. It's too much snow.
I know. Yeah, you just kind of chill inside and just watch it all. You don't work or anything outside, right?
No, we're from home, luckily.
Oh yeah. And we also have Spelsy, who plays Euphemia. Hello, Spelsy.
Hi.
And the reason we have these two in today is because we're shipping them pretty hard. So, yeah. So we are just to get caught up from where we were. There was a lot of like internal dialogues and kind of person to person conversations happening in the previous session, episode 12, that you can check out. And it took us kind of like a little bit of like, where were we? What were we doing in this episode 13 after a long holiday break? But I think we took off and we went right back into it. Miss Light, do you want to kind of start us off?
Nope. All yours.
All right. Well, we had, like I said, we did a bit of a recap from just trying to get caught up, and Spelsy's a note taker, so she was gracious enough to read us through some of her notes. Some conversations were had between like Victor and Magpie, and Vorin almost killed Victor, but it was an accident. Things happen.
Accident.
Of course.
And a couple of other things. But if you want to get caught up, go back to episode 12 recap, and we'll get started on episode 13. So we kind of started like in the afternoon.
It was just after lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just after lunch, and Vorin actually got to talk to Minerva
Right, which
and ask some questions.
Vorin has been meaning to talk to Minerva since they started sailing. He knows about her relationship with her goddess, and how he has seen her admire the moon from time and time again. And so he's been meaning to ask her, like, what does the moon actually mean to you? And like, did the goddess pick you, or like how did that happen? Was it a coincidence? Is there something more to it? And the reason that he asked is because haunted isn't the right word, but he has been kind of followed by the moon and something that has to do with it. He sees this woman in moonlight, the silhouette of this woman in moonlight all the time in his sleep. He saw her when he almost died. And it was like, what does this mean, and why? And it's frustrating him a little bit because, like I've said before, he's all about information, and he doesn't like not knowing. So he thought that Minerva would be a good source of information, but he didn't really get a whole lot from her other than what he kind of already knew. And he understood as well, because it's like he didn't really ask any direct questions, and so it's weird to get information about something that you don't really know what you're asking. So that's kind of where he's at with that. And I think it happened later on that we'll talk about a dream that he had. Excuse me. And so from there, I believe we went to, was it Victor?
I believe it was their conversation after.
Yeah, it was a conversation after. We had like the big conversation about what to do next, right?
Oh yeah, that was
Well,
over
that was
lunch.
that was during dinner.
That was over dinner
Yeah.
after. Yeah.
But the conversation that happened after lunch, after Minerva and Lauren, I believe, was Euphemia and Victor.
So it wasn't the whole ordeal, right? That happened after dinner as well.
No, that was
Oh.
way after dinner.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
whole thing that we're going to talk about was after dinner.
But I think you guys
Yeah.
kind of spoke about it briefly before.
yeah.
This is
We-
where Victor was like not feeling well, kind of talk.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about what was going on with Victor and all of the shit that's kind of piling up on him because he has several things going on.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't feeling well, so I wanted to make some sort of, I don't know, some sort of talking point for Victor for today. And since I was sick, I was like, well, maybe he's like a little sick. And I don't really know why. And Light, she can make up whatever she wants as to why. But I was trying to put things in his head that might explain why he's not feeling well. Could be book related. It could be the fact that he wants the blood. It could be both. It could just be a little fluke. I have no idea. So I just came up with this little idea, and I was like, okay, that's what Victor's gonna do today, and it led to all this craziness.
I think it's funny because I think you meant
did
it
it.
so that you can kind of take it easier for
Yeah.
throughout the session,
did.
and it did not work out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, starting the session, I felt like I was like kind of tired, but as it progressed, like I kind of started feeling a little better, and so it just kind of spiraled out of control.
It said
They're
like pick
raiding.
me up because that's what I
Initiating
think,
defense sequence.
like back in November, I was going through a sinus
Hey John, thanks for
infection,
the
and I was just kind of the same thing, but I got that little pick me up through the rest of the session.
Yeah, and then it led to all that awesome storyline.
yeah, some really cool stuff happening. So before we get into the craziness that occurred with Victor and Euphemia and Celeste, I guess, secondhand.
Yeah,
boy.
poor girl.
Let's talk about the conversation that went on during dinner. Things got a little heated, but I wouldn't say like heated. I would say honest. Things got very honest. Everybody spoke their minds, and I don't think anybody was wrong per se. It was just a matter of like frustrations from different perspectives, and different ideas on how to go about them. One of which Victor and Vorn are on similar pages as they kind of usually are, but I think Vorn is in a more neutral state than Victor is. Victor wants to be like on the like complete offense, and I don't blame him personally. But Vorn is like, yeah, we have to take action, but like maybe we don't have to kill everyone, like we have to do something, but maybe killing everyone's not the play. And the whole thing is that we're tired of being reactive, right? And that's something that Vorn and Victor have mentioned several times. It's like everything we do is because we're reacting to somebody else's actions. We're always second when it comes to any plan. And it's a little frustrating because we never have the advantage. So I think Victor's kind of tired of that. He's I feel like he's probably never experienced something like that where he's at a disadvantage all the time. And
Absolutely.
for Vorin, when any mission or any task or anything that he did with the guild or whatever, he knew what he was getting into most of the time. You know, he's being sent to do something. And obviously, you know, you have to pivot and do things all the time, but to not know what is after you or what is going on gets frustrating. And well, you can tell us about how Victor's feeling about it.
Victor doesn't really sugarcoat anything. He knows the outcome. And he tries to say it's like, well, if I was in that situation, this is what I would do. Right. And like he doesn't hide, at least in his mind, he feels like he doesn't hide behind morality. He knows what needs to be done and how it's going to potentially end. And that if you don't want to continue to be a victim, you have to be the predator, right? You have to, who wants to sit and run their entire life? And if somebody's never going to budge on that, right? Like, what's your options? So I think Victor he doesn't put it very eloquently, right? He's just like, oh well, we have to kill them, all of them, if they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
And that puts people off, but in reality, it's pretty much it might be how it goes down. I
Yeah.
mean, unless you can convince them otherwise, right?
You see, I think, and it's great that we have Spelsy here because she's kind of on the other court. But the funny thing is that I think how Victor's presenting it is what comes off as too much, but in reality, like the way that Vorin sees it, the way Brick sees it is that it might be inevitable, but we don't have to talk about it, you know, like we don't
Yeah.
we don't have to we don't have to like show it off or showcase it or make it the main point. Like we have to kill everyone. Like for Vorin, it's like, yeah, we might have to kill everyone, but that's not what it's about, you know.
Hmm.
And I think that kind of rubbed some of the other people on the team the wrong way, and this is where we'll let Spelsy come in.
That's where Victor
Yeah.
does best. Yeah.
So like Euphemia does agree that the collective kind of just needs to fuck off, but how just going in guns blazing is not the best thing to do it. She sees it like as what was discussed in session was that they are their own type of syndicate. You would literally have to make different parts of it crumble for the entire thing to crumble, which will take a longer time. And yes, it would be a kind of a good way to just like weaken them at this party that we know about, but we don't know when it's going to happen. But it would, I feel, is for Euphemia, she would see it as like more harm is going to come from that if they just go in guns blazing.
Yeah, and I think in that sense, I kind of agree, you know, and I feel like that's where Vorin is as well. It's like you know, the whole you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. And it's like we can go in and get information, but if we go in instantly trying to murder everyone, this is probably not gonna go well. Like,
Victor's on the opposite. Victor feels like you got to punch him in the nose and let him know that if you continue, it's not going to be good for you.
yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what do you think, Light, as the team?
I just find it interesting because there's so many different characters. Like, you know, you have your guns blazing that want to go in. You have people who actually want to go, wait, hold up. Let's think about this. Let's see where it goes. And then, of course, anybody else in between. Now, for instance, you know, you guys having that conversation there, Nyx wasn't there.
Mhm.
And it would have been very interesting in what he would say.
I got him to come back.
Yeah, he was there for the majority
He
of
just
it.
didn't really say anything. Because she sent a message for him to come back. We are trying to figure out something else.
Yeah,
not
I
just
think
go
he
in.
was kind of checked out after he initially walked out. Um, I don't think he was he wasn't there. Basically, what like said, I don't think he was paying much attention to what anybody was saying because he had checked out. Um, and I kind of get his point as well, or at least where he's coming from. Um, but in his sense, it's all about morality, right? But like, at what point, or where do we draw the line on morality? And that's what Victor kept trying to say. And it's like, is it morality to try to defend ourselves or to stop these evil people? You know, like where, who draws the line and who decides what's moral or not? Um, because life isn't that black or white. So it's definitely interesting conversations to have between the group. But there's really nothing we can do at the moment. So it was just I guess a proactive conversation, as in like to know
What's
where,
gonna happen
yeah,
after we're
where
done.
we were all lying.
Yeah, like the whole point. So I think Nyx was out of the room for part of it,
Hmm.
but Victor was
That's what I was
trying.
saying.
Yeah, he was trying to poke. I think Nyx was in a room when Victor was trying to poke holes in his argument, because Victor knows that he doesn't like senseless violence. And it's like, well, it's like, is it senseless when violence is already being done against you already? Bounties, all this, like, h- how do you stop that, like, politely, right? And like, Victor has like another agenda, kind of like he wants to shift the group morality more toward you know, like a neutral perspective instead of this lofty ideal kind of deal, right? Like, oh, we have these dreams of we can have our cake and eat it too. And Victor's like, well, we can have our cake, but it's going to be very bloody along the way, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's gonna, um, I think the more we accept to just let things happen, the more that things are going to happen to us, you know? And eventually we're going to have to be like, no, no. We need to get our shit together. Um, because now we have even more things that we need to figure out, right? Like the whole elemental queen thing. Um, that's something that happened to us without us having any fucking knowledge of it at all. And now it's like, okay, well, it might continue to happen to us. So what do we do about it? And it's like, okay, we have to get information. We have to find out what's happening. We have to find out who she is. Um, so I guess we'll we'll get there. You know, we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. Um, but it's
I
gonna
will
be
say
interesting.
this for you guys. Listen to episode 1 during the dream. That's all I say.
Mm-hmm.
Damn it, I wish I could have a flashback episode of the dream.
We'll just make the DM do it again next session.
Flashback.
Nope.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
I mean, it's there. It's it's recorded.
It is recorded. Um, so yeah, so then after we have this very intense debate in regards to like what we should do about it, we realize, okay, well, the argument is for naught right now because we can't do anything about it. So right now we're just arguing for no reason. Um, and we all kind of decide to disperse eventually.
You did guys make a plan during that
Oh, right, we
conversation.
made the plan, yeah, to like because all things kind of seem to lead back to Felu.
Mm-hmm.
No matter, like, Felu's the crossroads, basically. No matter what we want to do or no matter where we want to go, it seems like we have to go back to Felu.
Well, I mean, Celeste did give you guys options.
Right. At
Go
least
back to
for
Felu,
mhm.
yeah, and see if the portals are open. But if not, um, there might have to be another plan because either go there or go to Able first. But Able will take time because it is you have to go around the whole thing.
Yeah. Which, I guess we'll see. We still have to also talk to the captain to see, um, perhaps get, some ideas as well. And yeah, but it's funny that we were having this conversation, but we were for the majority of the time we were speaking for Celeste.
Mhm.
Like everyone's like, no, we should do this. No, fuck that. They're gonna come after her, but like we never really listened to what she wanted to do.
Well, and that's why I kept bringing up is just like, okay, Celeste, do we need to go back to Phalu? Do we really need to go back to
Yeah.
Phalu?
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of different things that we need to um discover or that we need to dive deeper into. And it's almost like we don't have really a direct way of doing it. So it's probably going to take some figuring out. And then there's also like the whole thing with Victor's parents or his father and stuff like that, which he still needs more information on. And after the events that we're going to shortly get into, he probably should contact his family like sooner
yeah.
than later.
Yeah, it's one big thing that he wants to do is he wants to get some sort of line back because if I recall correctly, like we made all those connections in the previous episodes of like, oh, this is exactly. Oh, he knows that his dad is in torpor,
Mhm.
right? But he also doesn't. But that brings me like questions out of the table, right? Because in the one episode, he was on the beach with the butler, and he went home. So how did he get put back in torpor? Did something else happen? Right?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh shit. So, but Victor has no idea about that. So it's like, well, what's going on? It's somehow tied to all this. So he definitely wants to touch base and find out a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And same thing could go with Euphemia because, like, with all the activity going on in Kennerith with the werewolves and such, she's concerned and wants to know a little bit more.
Yeah, and there's a question that kind of came up was with the whole collective stuff and with Euphemia's family being monster hunters. I couldn't help but wonder, are they the kind of people that would deal with the collective as well? Because you might have things that are worth a lot in your monster hunting.
I I would say probably not because of what they have. I see the Knight family as kind of like the Belmonts. They have a lot of shit that they really don't want to share. Like, if in the wrong hands, it's bad.
Yeah. I mean, but that could also that can be bad though, like as
Oh
far
yeah.
as like the collective goes, even if you don't work with them in a good way, that could be seen as a target for your family as well. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
I see it almost the opposite with Victor. Like working with the collective, I feel like with some definitely something that Victor's father may do because he's not the best of best, of individuals,
But
yeah.
he's also like a noble.
and he's a
And
noble. So like things coming through like Dark Harbor, I'm sure he's in the know of all that stuff or a lot of it.
Yeah, and
So
I mean the whole thing with the collective, right, is that a they're not a clear villain per se, right? Like you
mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but um
Mhm.
like they have a business to run. pretty much, right? Like, so, like I said before in my RP as well, was like, I mean, I've done work for them, or I've worked under them. Does that make me evil? You know, just because I acquired one or two things for them before, thanks to the guild. Um, they're just acquirer of things, even if they don't have the most, legal ways to go about it.
In my mind, it seems like the collective is a kind of, I don't know if it's any true or not, but the way it seems is the collective is some sort of organization that works for very rich people. That a rich person's like, hey, I want this item. Can you track it down and get it for us? And then they're like kind of like the middleman, like in between, right? So I see a lot of shady nobles
Oh yeah.
potentially, their hands all over the place with this. Or it could just be some, crazed person or very powerful person that just wants all these items for themselves. Who knows? We don't know that yet.
Yeah,
So true.
I think that whenever we get the chance to go undercover, if and when we get to go undercover and
Can't wait.
play in their field, is something that we're gonna get so much information out of, good or bad. Or it can just all go to fucking hell and we have to fight our way out.
I just imagine an episode or multiple episodes of like a proper stakeout,
mhm.
gathering information, like the whole espionage type stuff would be really fun.
Yeah. It's
And I can see this going as a certain way too, as like some of us dressing up as potential buyers, because I believe this
Mhm.
party is also an auction.
Yeah, I mean, there's
If I
so many
remember
ways to go
correctly.
about it, right? Like we could have somebody as like servers, others as buyers, others as nobles, so we can really just get information from all side, like all angles. Um, and yeah, it could go well or it could go horribly. The roles will decide.
So true.
Yeah. So, after I think that was pretty much it for the whole conversation, right?
Mhm.
It was that, and then briefly we found out about this is the last task for the captain, and then we're done on the ship.
Oh yeah,
potentially?
it's pretty much our last night. Um, uh, well, we knew it was our last night there, and then we would be going on our last task after we board. And then I guess it's just the trip back home or wherever we decide.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
we have no idea what this task is.
You would know what the task is.
Yeah, don't touch
She
the
said it.
treasure.
Yeah, we know what this task is. We just don't know what to expect from this task.
Right, but I mean,
Do not touch the treasure.
right.
Yeah, that's a treasure.
Yeah, just don't touch it and we'll be fine.
But still, that leads back to the thing from previous episodes. It's like all these things that she's collecting. What are they? What is it?
Yeah, so it's like, how come we can't touch the treasure, but we're touching the thing that you want us to get? You know?
That's exactly what's in Victor's head. Yeah.
Because I see this kind of like in Aladdin, the magic lamp. You can touch this, but everything else, don't touch.
I feel
Yeah.
like we're
Touch
not
it.
supposed to
That's how
touch
I see it.
anything. So if we touch something, we should be able to touch it all. What the hell? Oh my goodness. But yeah, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that little adventure and see who else almost dies.
I know what you're talking about. Just don't touch the treasure.
Right. She says with a massive grin on her face.
She wants
Right.
one of us to touch the treasure. Let's be
She
honest.
does. She really does.
Absolutely.
No, the question is who's going to be the first to fucking touch it? Someone is going to touch it. But who's going to be
It's
the
just
first
gonna
to
be
touch
like
it?
one of those things
Magpie.
like, oh, my tail touched it. Oh,
Honestly,
I'm still alive. Okay, my
honestly-
hand touched it.
it's like a tie for me because I know Victor's shit. It'd be a tie between Victor and Magpie for me. That's why I think who's gonna touch this other
Well,
pieces of treasure
now I'm gonna
first.
toss Voron's tail in the thing too. Imagine the tieflings grabbing both their tails, like, nope, not gonna,
Uh-huh.
not gonna jeopardize this shit.
Yeah, he's just gonna be, like a child going anywhere. They just like have their hand touching everything as they're walking. Like that's gonna be Warren with his tail, just like I'm touching it.
Oh my god.
So, shall we get into the meat of the episode here?
Oh yeah,
Sure,
meat.
no.
definitely.
Or should we say to the blood of it?
I don't know. Do you want to go grab a snack before we do this?
Well, funny enough, my
I mean-
wife just brought me dinner, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm in the middle of the episode, so now I just gotta
I
sit.
mean, also, I kind of want to get some more water because I just ran out of water. So give me like 2
Go
minutes.
get some water, it's fine. But so this thing that we're about to talk about, I feel like it's been leading up to this moment. Several things have happened, and I'll let Sin kind of take it away here. But Sin, since the moment that Victor decided to attack Homeboy, things have not really been the same for you.
Oh no. Like that was like his first taste of, straight from, straight from the vein, right? And that was exhilarating for him. He was like, well, I don't know how to explain it. It's like he gets the sustenance from like the blood wine and stuff like that, magically induced and sometimes not, sometimes actual blood from stuff. But having it from the source, that's like a whole different experience for him.
Yeah, and see, to me, it was just a matter of time.
Oh, absolutely.
But I thought that with the resources available, that it wouldn't happen so quickly. But that was just, like a naive thought. Um, because you can give somebody tofu, and as soon as they have a steak, it's never gonna be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's had it on the back of his mind for a while now, even before the party, right? Like he's had, I guess he's had opportunities, but he hasn't really dabbled. Like I've always imagined that his father is kind of like, it- I imagine his father has many ways of, acquiring different blood for his taste. So, and I don't think they're in the most polite ways either. And I think, part of Victor, he's always looked up to his father, at least, for a good, bit of his life.
Yeah, no daddy
And
issues
and I
here.
think, yeah, and I think you know, he's like, I think in the back of his mind too, like a little insight to Victor. I think he's like a little confused of being a Dampier. If that makes sense, because he's pretty much half human, half vampire, but his mother was turned full vampire, and now he's in this strange state of, in between.
Mm-hmm.
Part of him's like, "Oh, do I want all of it?" Right? Like, do I want to become full vampire? And I think, you know, this is maybe like a step along that potential journey of figuring that out.
Yeah, it's an interesting place to be because there's no one really, or at least immediately, to relate to. Um,
Mhm.
so I can imagine it being a very confusing place to be for Victor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
here now.
welcome back.
Welcome back.
The one thing is about dumpiers in my world, they are rare. So in Victor's lifetime, he might have met one, and there could be who knows how many out there. It could be 100 or 200. maybe 500. Who knows? But they are
Hmm.
a dime a dozen. They're rare.
Well, so yeah, tell us what has happened with Victor and well, I mean, at least it was offered to him, right? So take it
Mhm.
away.
Well, it was offered before,
Yeah.
previously,
It was offered back like episode 2.
mhm, and that's always been on Victor's mind, even more so in the forefront of, after feeding on the guy on the boat, um, and it seemed like a good opportunity for him. He was like, "You know what? Yes, I'm not feeling the best, maybe this is why." So, he was like, "Well, I'm gonna try to take her up on that offer."
And how did that go?
Oh, goodness.
Well, it did not go as how Euphemia would expect.
It did not go. In Victor's mind, he completely was just gonna take just enough and stop. That was what he had planned to do. He didn't have some secret agenda to keep drinking, right? He just wanted to take a little bit, see how he felt, and be done with it. But it was so damn good, he couldn't stop.
Yeah, it's do you think it was necessity more than want, or
Ooh, I think I don't know. I haven't I'm not entirely sure. I think a large part of it was want.
Mhm.
It's like, if you have something so good, it's like you don't wanna give it up, right?
Right, and the fact that he
You
wasn't
just wanna keep
feeling the
going.
best kind of drove that want even more out of
Exactly.
curiosity, yeah.
Mhm. So, he kept filling those damn constitution rolls, so he was gonna continue on drinking. So, I feel like
So
I think if he didn't
let's
Oh,
go
go
back
ahead.
a bit and give like a recap of how things happened.
Oh,
You
yeah,
guys
yeah.
agreed to leave the door open for safety reasons,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
which was
We
smart.
were there was potential to do it in a more public place, but Victor was like, "Well, this is more of a private thing. Like, I don't want everybody, just watching me, eat. Like, I wanna have some privacy." But I do want a little bit of safety just in case, because in the back of his mind, he did know. He's like, "I don't know if I can stop."
Mhm. Go on.
So they went up to the room. She offered the wrist, and he started drinking, and he just could not stop. He enjoyed it, and I think Euphemia enjoyed it as well.
Oh, yeah, because like as she shared after as she was trying to process, just like it can be just as addicting to the one who's being bitten, and as well as for the person
Yeah,
who's
and
feeding.
she didn't say a word at first. And you kept
Yeah,
going.
she didn't know what to say.
And you kept going, and you were failing constitutional rolls, and she was quiet until, you know, it became a
Well,
problem,
when
obvious problem.
yeah, when it became a problem and when he said it will be okay, I'm going to make you like me, that is when she started to panic.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That was wild,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah. He was steep in the hunger there, right? And he was trying to come up with various justifications to potentially kill her, right? And he was trying to, out of some niceness, say it'll be fine, you won't die, but he didn't even he doesn't even know if he could turn anyone, and he probably can't because
Mm.
that thought crossed his mind. He was just making those justifications, just to keep drinking.
She doesn't fully know either and is probably going to look it up if there has been any cases of a dampier turning somebody.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's
That's a
strange.
DM question for that one, but
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure
Well, it
she's not
was
gonna tell.
answered. Yeah, because didn't you say Victor remembered that Dampiers can't turn anyone?
Hmm. They
Yeah,
can't.
so Victor remembered, like, he was like, "Oh, I can't." So he, could he realized that, right, in
So
that
he could
last
have
bit of
killed her.
talk. Oh, absolutely, yeah, he definitely could have. But then Celeste walked in.
Also, one
Yep.
of the things that I'm very curious about before we get into chapter 2 of that saga, um,
hmm
is the fact that Victor didn't like vet her at all. Like, you have no idea what kind of blood this woman has running through her veins.
Euphemia?
Yeah. And it's like, what if there's something that was toxic to you?
Well, I guess he would have found out, right? Like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
um, but there wasn't.
But there wasn't. And now
So
you know.
yeah, and like it's been building up to this moment, right? Like I think out of everyone, um, I think the person with the most chemistry with Victor is Euphemia.
Hmm.
They've had the private talks, they've had the disagreements, but they've worked through them, right? And it's slowly building into this relationship. Um, and he has trust for her, and she has enough trust for him. Maybe not after all this, but um, it was that point where he wanted to explore her, and I think she did too, in a way.
Hmm.
Um,
'Cause,
and
like,
yeah,
she's still young, so she's still very curious on how all this shit works. Like, that's kind of like her role in her family. Is she is a researcher. She wants to know what this is and push it. Outside of feeding, she trusts Victor, but
Hmm.
that not so much.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it was something that, like what Warren told Magpie, is like they wouldn't have known until they tried it. You know,
Hmm.
so you can't place a restriction on something that you have no idea would actually be a thing. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, then in an attempt to like remove the leech from her, you moved on to Celeste, who just happened to walk in um
mhm,
when Euphemia shouted.
yeah.
Yeah. Because she couldn't physically push him away. She had to call for help.
He knew that if he continued, it was like this little last spark of like, I know what's going to happen if I keep going,
Hmm.
but he wasn't finished yet.
Yeah, but
So
it was
it was
like
like,
it was also like you
what do I do?
knew what was the likeliest thing to work, and it was for you to move on to a different target.
Pick a different target, and he would have kept picking different targets if he wanted. But he had a rude awakening when he bit into Celeste.
So, like, do you wanna tell us a little bit about like what happened or what the effect was when he leached on to Celeste?
um, well, Victor bit into Celeste, and he started to black out and have visions. The visions were of Celeste as a young girl, a little girl. Um, her calling out her mom to the point where her mother was saying run. And then something else happened, which it triggered a burning sensation going down his throat. Um, that I definitely assume that would definitely have caught him off guard, and
Absolutely.
him like moving away, and at the same time, at the same time that happened, Magpie was behind him, getting ready to like to grapple him and stuff. So all that happened all at once. Now, what happened? Who knows? I have to keep my secrets.
You know.
Yeah, that was
Mhm,
interesting. I caught him off big time. Like it was enough to break him out of like his feeding frenzy because
mhm.
his plans. One, okay, so he had a couple plans. He was like, "Well, I'm just going to continue drinking on Celeste, or I move on to Magpie, or I jump out of this window. Those are the options. But
I
luckily,
just,
like,
I
yeah, he
just
was about to jump out the
imagine.
window.
I don't know
Yeah.
how many of you watch What We Do in the Shadows, but I just imagine him jumping out the window and yelling "bat" and turning into a bat.
If he was like a druid and could turn into a bat, he would have absolutely done that.
Oh my goodness!
Oh
It
my
would
god,
have been
I gotta get polymorph.
it would have been very interesting what would happen. Behind the scenes, I was rolling dice.
It'd have been a damn manhunt on the island.
Oh, he would have been found easily.
I I didn't know how to react as Varn. I didn't know if to be angry
Mhm.
at Victor, but then instantly he understood, and um see, I was like, did I react to that properly? But then I'm like, no, like, so Vorin understands that it was a necessity and they agreed on it. Like, there's nothing bad that happened here except for the fact that,
Mhm.
and that's why he tried to explain it in the
But
way that,
Celeste didn't agree, though.
no, I know. But I mean, like, what, like, the way that Vorin explained it was like, this is something that happened to all of you. I didn't see it as this is something Victor did.
Yeah, it started off innocent
Right.
for the most part. Right, but it led to something, very dangerous.
Yeah, and Euphemia was ready to fully take the responsibility for it. Like, I gave the idea, this is my responsibility.
It's funny how like one thing escalates into different things here.
Oh yeah, a couple of bad rolls and who knows what happens, right?
Everything changes. But yeah, then there's so many things about Celeste that are like a mystery. And it's crazy. The things that she pulls out of her pockets.
Right?
That
Oh yeah, she's super mysterious. Same with the captain.
right? Like they have this power, and the captain feels more like she knows what she's capable of. And then Celeste sometimes feels like not even she knows what she's capable of. So it's like sometimes it's very interesting to like be on the back end and see these things happening.
Well, I mean, the captain has been around, so of course she knows
Mm-hmm.
what she's gonna do, what's gonna happen.
Fucking captain, man.
There's something much, much more with the captain than we know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
She's
there's
shady as
definitely-
shit.
What are you talking about?
There's something like
Like
the amount
shady
of power.
shady as in secretive. I don't mean like shady as in she's doing some bad shit. Um she's just I feel like she knows way more than she's letting on. I feel like she is just keeping us at arm's length because she has her own shit she needs to do and figure out, and it's easier to not get us involved as much as we need to be involved, basically.
Mhm.
And but we'll see. I mean, like I said, I guess we're all tied one way or another by fate or the gods or whatever the shit.
That's true.
So we managed to get Victor off of Celeste, and I this we can't really talk about it because Celeste is a character in the thing, so we can literally just ask her. This would be meta. But like I am curious as to like what the hell is going through her mind right now. you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, it's true because I'm going to what was a few episodes ago where I actually said that what she was doing. so you can actually get a feel for her because, she is technically an NPC, but she is part of your group. And walking in to see, you know, Euphemia, her arms probably stretched out or whatever, and seeing Victor, um, I was ready to cast something on him until uh Victor described, how you feel and all that stuff, and can I do this? And I allowed it. So from that moment where she was getting ready to cast to feeling pain, she didn't feel what Euphemia was feeling. First the pain, and then all of a sudden it was like, pleasure or whatever. She felt straight pain. And so she yelled out. And so at the same time, it was, what can she do at that point? But everything happened so fast because you gotta think these are like, it's seconds, not like minutes, they're seconds. So from yelling out or screaming out to Victor biting to Victor's visions and what was going on to the point where, he finally pulled away because his throat was like on fire. At that point, when he was getting hogtied, she was looking at him as an enemy. She felt betrayed.
Yeah.
And at that point, she was stuck in that room because he was technically outside the door. And even when you guys were talking, I was even thinking what she's going to do, what she wants to do. She literally wanted to run out and jump out and leave the area, but she couldn't because she felt trapped until the moment where Magpie got him up to, put him on the bed. So in a way, how I thought as soon as Magpie, moved him to the bed, she literally immediately ran out and went to her room and closed the door.
Yeah, that's gonna be
So,
some
yeah.
patchwork needed there, Sin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was crazy. Like allowing him the chance to have that burst of like super speed, then be like, "I'm sorry," and then be behind her, biting into her neck. That was so kick ass. It was so fun.
And it's funny
But
because
yeah, so
when she said that she screamed, I had already said that Vorn was on his way back in, so I was like, is it gonna be Vorn? Because that would have been completely different. Like, like after I just almost burned you alive and then you attacked me, I think it would have been insane as far.
oh
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, she did have her Hellish Rebuke, too,
Hmm.
Oh,
which it
she
was,
hit him with it.
yeah, and which, luckily it was in half because it was 21 damage. And, I mean, it was white fire. It wasn't, like fire, it was white fire.
It's like,
It felt awesome being able to shrug it off and just bite her anyways.
God damn.
But God, this is gonna be some patchwork for the whole group, I think.
She was literally just talking about leaving the group.
I know. Victor feels so bad.
I mean, Euphemia feels bad too.
It's okay though. The rest of us will step in as well. So yeah, so after this, Victor is tied, and we kind of have a conversation there a bit. Vorn leaves the room because there's a lot of commotion, so he's just like, too many cooks in the kitchen. So he just goes to the kitchen. Because he also didn't know what to say, and he didn't want to be on the wrong side, you know? Um,
Mhm.
so he's like, okay, well, I'll step away for a moment. Um, there was enough of emotions and tempers flaring, you know? So, but yeah, that was a crazy scene. I loved it. Like from like standing on the side above the table, I was so entertained listening to that whole fucking thing. It was
It was
awesome.
fun. I love how pretty much Vorin and Euphemia, they see it as an accident that happened, but I didn't think Magpie did it first, but maybe she kind of came around.
Well, because
Magpie,
like Euphemia was trying
yeah.
to explain, like it was her idea. She was just trying to help.
Ooh, I just man, I wonder what would happen. Like, cause let's see who else was there. It was Nyx was outside. He wasn't there. I wonder what would happen if he was there. Oh goodness.
That
Yeah,
that could have been bad. Yeah.
yeah, that would have been probably really bad.
Yeah, no power, Victor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Didn't have his magic at all yet. Wasn't gonna be good.
Well, shit. We also got to get into that, and we've been talking a lot already. Um, the nighttime visitor that Victor got on in his bed, but um,
Oh yeah.
what? So after that, we did have a brief conversation where, um, you know, Magpie was saying, okay, well, this is something that you guys can't do. And Vorin was like, nah, don't tell them what to do. They're adults, you know? Um, like this was a choice between you guys and it didn't work out. Now, if you guys do it, it's because you're either like stupid or because you know better. But it was your choice. So it's like now you know what other precautions you need to take if you want to do this again,
Mhm.
or just don't do it again. But I don't think you need another adult to be like, go to your room, you know? Don't do
Yeah,
this
yeah.
again.
Oh, they absolutely knew what happened was, you know, it, I mean, Victor knew. I mean, he willingly gave himself up, like, to be hogtied. He's like, I screwed up very badly.
Right.
Please don't let me
I mean, you
hurt
also saw
anybody
that as
else.
the way out too. So,
Yeah, true. Yeah.
but so what happened immediately after that before we get to Victor's thing?
Um,
I think that was kind
let's
of
see. So
it, right? Because we all kind of.
Minerva was healing
Mm-hmm.
Euphemia. And then there was the talk on the bed between Euphemia and Magpie and Victor,
Right.
Mhm.
where Victor was, you know, pretty much talking about how sorry he was for all of it and explaining everything. And then she revealed that what he said in that heightened state, right? Like
Mhm.
that, like, what is she thinking?
Yeah.
That's my
Shit.
question.
That was crazy. Then Magpie went over to the kitchen, but she went to look for Nyx outside, but she ran into Vorin, and Vorin had this whole conversation about like, you know, um, like I was abandoned as a child. You probably were too. Like I don't know your life, but you know the guild has been there, for people like us, and I think there's a lot of times that Vorin doesn't really understand, um, how like she operates as like a thief versus how he operates as a thief and the opportunities that were granted to him. Um, so he's just like, I don't, you hate people, but there's always been a place for you to stay if you wanted it. Um, so like he kind of went down that whole conversation and was like, hey, if you can't stop to see the smallest of lights in the dark, then you're just always going to be lost in it. Um, you're always going to be consumed by the dark. Be-
Yeah. If you if Euphemia was there for that conversation, she probably would agree with Warren because like she doesn't fully understand how Magpie works.
Yeah, she has something that's like really scarring her that I guess we still need to learn. But it's like, I mean, if you're a thief and then what are you a thief? What are you a thief of? If you don't even steal food to like eat or anything, like, or you're not given food, you don't take food when it's even given to you. Um, and then it's like the thieves guild has always been there, so why? So I guess that's more that we need to learn about Magpie, which again, it's always interesting. Like I've said this several times, it's interesting how we're we're both rogues and have completely different type of characters. So after the conversation, I think that was before you went to your room, right? To lay down for the night. And I don't know if my nightmare happened before your thing.
Oh no, your nightmare happened before.
First. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're never having.
So yeah, so after that I went straight to my room, lay down to try to get some rest. And I don't know if it's the recency of the conversation he just had with Minerva, but that instantly made him have another dream/nightmare. Which isn't really like a nightmare. The only reason he says it's a nightmare is because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. But he does get a sense of safety from this woman. He just doesn't know who she is, but he recognizes her voice, and it's been happening so often that he kind of he feels her personality as part of him already. And so he'll say things like, "You're not real, like just leave me alone." Like he'll like talk to himself. You don't exist. I have no idea why I'm seeing you. Even in my moment of almost dying. So it's like I don't know. Light's just messing with me.
Ay, tama.
And then Sin. You Victor woke up to a beautiful woman in his bed.
Yeah, that wanted to fry him with a fireball. That was tragic.
Probably not
Deja
the
vu,
first
because
or last time.
Yeah.
His first thought when waking up is like, "What did I get myself into now? Did I do something?"
How many times will Victor be threatened with a fireball before he actually gets hit with the
I know, right?
fireball?
So Victor went to sleep. Tell us kind of what happened.
So Victor went to sleep. He had the book with him. I think as he was laying there going to sleep, he was debating a lot of things, like he was reflecting a lot on the events of the day. I think he even had like a slight conversation with the book before he fell asleep.
Mhm.
Right. Just kind of reflecting a little bit on all of it. I guess part of it is like liking everything that happened and also not liking the circumstances of it as well, right? So, very conflicted Victor. He goes to sleep, wakes up to a woman in his bed talking about what was it? Like she had some sort of mission.
To deliver something.
Yes, like to deliver something, and then she goes crazy. He's like, he opens an eye, and he's like, "What are you doing in my bed?" He's like, first thought was like, "Oh shit, am I actually in someone else's bed right now?"
It's like, did he have a midnight snack?
Did I go have a snack and I didn't know? Right? Um, yeah, and she, Misty steps, someplace like to the edge of the bed, about fireballs him, and then he was able to convince her to calm down a little bit. And then she loses it all, and then he realizes, "Oh, this is the book." He gets the name. It's, Lady Michelle. I didn't get the last name. I don't remember the last name.
It's Lady Michelle Odella.
Odella.
Okay, Odella. I could not understand when you said it the first time, so I did not write it down.
I mean, she was panicked. So
She was
Yeah.
she was so panicked. Yeah. So Lady Michelle Odella, um, he's trying to figure out. So is she a dark elf?
you couldn't tell because there was a hood,
Oh, it was
but
kind of
her
dark.
skin was dark. I mean, you could see it.
Oh yeah. Like so super cool. And then she loses memory. They have like a little bit of connection, and then it's part like where she's took up the stubborn persona again, like not wanting to admit like, oh, I told you my name, blah blah blah. So it's like the
I don't
book
know
is
what you're
trying to figure
talking
stuff
about.
out too. Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So yeah, so Victor's he's happy. He's like, oh, my magic is back. Yeah,
I love it.
I love the
that's
book.
great.
Only the start.
Yeah. I don't actually remember how things ended off. Oh,
Basically, everybody got a wake up call, and
right.
second wake up call, and then people start packing their bags and on the way to the beach, and everybody heard Mel yell, "Why you upside down?" to the ship.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because the ship is just chilling upside down.
Ship was having a like, how long can you hold your breath challenge.
Oh, sorry, Meg. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the ship has been like that since the night before.
Yesterday.
Yeah. That's great. So this this means we'll soon be heading off to our new adventure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
yeah. That's gonna be crazy.
And that's where we are now. It was really nice to be back after the long break, the long holiday break. I hope everybody had a good holiday. Now it's cold, snowy. Well, for some of us. But
Yes.
you live in California, it doesn't count.
I mean, I live in Indiana and I haven't even had that much snow.
Yeah, this is like the first snow of the well. We didn't really have any snow at all last year,
Yeah, I think
but first snow of the year.
yeah, it was like a baby snow last year, but yeah,
Mhm.
this is a real snow. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. Did we
I
forget
almost
anything?
forgot.
Yeah.
One thing, just one thing. You remember the conversation between Magpie and was it Glenn out in the woods? And he's like, "Oh, you need to go to bed. It's like,
Hmm.
we gotta leave early in the morning." Did anybody else think it was like some body double Glenn that was gonna kill Magpie? Because I did.
No, it was
Keys.
Magpie
It was
was out in the
Keys. It was
woods
Keys.
because it was Keys. Keys
Yeah.
talked to Magpie to go to bed. Glenn found I just blanked on his name.
Nyx.
Nyx.
Out, yeah.
Yeah, I totally thought those were like body doubles that were gonna try and kill them because they were outside. I was like, "Oh shit, what's happening here?" But anyways, yeah.
Fucking Murder Island.
But like, I do have one question that I've been very intrigued about because I'm not sure if it's because Celeste wasn't willing, but she was able to Victor was able to see memories of hers, but nothing from Euphemia. Why?
Because Euphemia's dead inside.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Damn.
Wow.
Fucking damn.
He just needs more blood to test it out, you know?
Wait, from Euphemia? She'd be
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah, I
No, I'm just saying he has to do it again to see if he can figure it out.
He's like, let's figure it out. Let's try again. I wonder if it's because, like what you said, she wasn't expecting it while
Yeah, 'cause
you
she wasn't
actually were
willing.
volunteering.
Yeah.
That's true.
I wonder.
Victor did he was like total predator with her.
It is a good
Celeste.
question, which she's not
Very
going to
good
tell us
question.
anything.
Just gonna have to find out in character,
Yeah.
maybe.
God damn it.
I mean, right now, Celeste's like, if you think about if you all were walking, Celeste was either the furthest away from Victor.
We definitely got to figure this out because if Victor has some sort of power, he could just be like, "Look, I can figure out everything about this person. Just let me eat them.
Yeah, just like zoom in behind
Just
her
let
and
me
like
Yeah,
eat
just let me
them.
eat them. Just let me bite them, and I'll figure everything else about them. Be great.
Yeah, go ahead and then try it again, and then there'll be another reaction.
Oh,
Everyone's
man.
blessing.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it. Episode 13. We're back in the new year, and we'll be back next Sunday at 6:30 EST for our live session on and then on Monday we will be having a recap for episode 14. So
Mhm.
you can check us out in the playlist on YouTube if you want to get caught up. And yeah, thank you guys for hanging out.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
fun.
See you all next time.
Adios.
Bye.